Gentlemen, welcome to the first official test run of From Failing to Freedom, where each week your boy, Alpha M, aka Aaron Marino, and Mr. Antonio Centeno, the man, the myth, the legend behind the incredibly popular and proficient YouTube channel, Real Men, Real Style. He also has failed a bunch of times, just like myself, and that's really the reason for us doing this podcast together, which is, Antonio, why don't you give him an update?
No, I think it's important. I mean, everyone thinks that growth and business success is linear, meaning that, it builds off of, it's consistently in an upward trajectory. And that's just not the case. In fact, I would say right now, I'm going through a bit of transition in my business. Aaron, you've gone through it multiple times, and business is not a steady upward journey. It's not it's something that you go up, you go down, you could lose it all. You hear these stories, that people that go through the pain, the heartache, the bankruptcies, after they've built up multi-million-dollar businesses. And we wanted to document, we wanted to share, I think, the setbacks, share the pain, because everyone talks about all the great stuff. I think we can connect more on the things that haven't gone right than sometimes we can on the successes.
And I think really that's why you and I have such a unique perspective. When you look online at all the coaches and the people that are teaching you how to do X, Y, and Z, they don't really talk about the fact that they've really had like significant struggles. One of the things that, I feel like we have an advantage over these other guys is that we had businesses, we had lives, we had, things happen to us before we ever found any type of success. And I think that that's one of the things, and bankruptcy is one of those pivotal moments in both of our lives where it was like, okay, it didn't work. We've got to basically shift. We've got to readjust. But for me, the most difficult time about that point in my life, it wasn't necessarily about being broke. I'd been broke my whole life, very similar to you, right? Grew up without means. The hardest part for me at that point in my life was I didn't have a North Star anymore. And so for me, I am the type of person, the type of entrepreneur that is tunnel vision. I know what I need to do. I'm going to chase it. I'm going to go. But when that was taken away and I realized, oh shit, like I am not going to have a fitness center. Apparently, after all, the only dream I ever had since I was literally 12 years old, that lack of direction and that lack of North Star, and really it was about what was going to mean success to me in the future, it was gone. And so that really was the most challenging thing for me to really come to terms with. What about yourself? When you filed bankruptcy, what was kind of like going through your head? Where were you professionally? Obviously, we kind of know where you were professionally, but what was the kind of the
I was in debt.
You were in debt.
I was in debt. I mean, it's crazy.
How much debt were you in when you actually filed bankruptcy?
Probably a couple $100,000, credit cards and just business expenses. And I had thought, the whole idea here was to grow a tailored suit, which is our online custom clothing business, to a set point. We spent a lot of money on inventory, a lot of money on, just simply shipping, a lot of money on building out websites, all this stuff. And the idea was build it, they will come. And it didn't work out. I mean, we had some months in which we actually did really well in sales, but it never outpaced our expenses. I wasn't venture backed. I wasn't, VC backed. So I didn't have a whole lot of money in reserve. I was running this off of credit cards. And the idea was I would be, and rates were really good. You can keep moving money around, but I started robbing Peter to pay Paul. And I realized this is not working out and we are not getting to a point where I need to be. And you keep taking these small risks. It's like, okay, I'm going to spend $5,000 on advertising here and it's going to turn the ship around, and it doesn't. I'm going to spend, $10,000 here, $2,000 here, $1,000 here. And all of a sudden you realize you've dug yourself into a hole, and you could either say, I'm going to, follow this and I'm going to work to dig myself out. Or at that point I realized, all right, here in the United States, we do have, my sister is a bankruptcy attorney. So she knew a lot. I could get, and I knew this was an option after speaking with her. And we ended up, just going right in. I think there's multiple types of bankruptcy. We ended up going the full one in where everything, all the business steps debts were absolved. I also had some personal debts. So, I mean, it was personal, but it was tied to my business and was a sole proprietorship. And the hardest part, like, I don't think I really lost my North Star because I knew I had a vision for a bigger business. I knew that we could go in a different direction, and I was excited about that. But I think having to stand in front of that judge and basically say, yeah, I cannot pay my debts. I think that you say certain things that you have to by law, and it was just embarrassing. In your mind, you've got this idea of yourself and who you are, what you're capable of, that you are going to succeed. I mean, we all, especially as kids, a lot of us, we push ourselves. We've had some, I mean, I know you were a good wrestler. I was a great runner. You have some success. I had
What
success.
happened? I'm kidding.
What happened with running?
No, Antonio,
I can still show up. Yeah.
Listen, I'll tell you what, it's amazing. Antonio is not necessarily, a gazelle these days in terms of, he's not out there running all the time. But whenever he comes to visit, he knows one thing, that we're going to exercise. We're going to exercise every single day. And one of the things that I do for my peace of mind and just to basically get right with my love of pizza is I go for a run every day. And Antonio, I got to admit, for somebody who doesn't run a lot, no problem. 5 miles, 6 miles. He's talking the whole time. I'm barely being able to, keep the pace, but he's chatting and I'm worried. I'm like, uh-oh, he's going to stroke out. But no, Antonio, you definitely step up when it comes to impromptu exercise.
For me, running is pain. Yep. And when you just accept that, you just go with it. But and maybe that I've thought, this is a theory of mine, is that because I have been a distance runner and I condition myself that it has to be painful, that it will be painful. Sometimes in business, you just keep, you're getting all these signals that it's not working, that this is a bit of pain here, that you're suffering. You should change direction. And I think that I'm so hard-headed sometimes, I will just keep going and like, all right, we're going to figure this out. It's going to get better. I'm just pushing my way through. And you eventually reach a point that it's like, this isn't going to work. And having to admit that in front of the judge, it's
for me, I would have, when my fitness center was failing and I was $500,000 in debt from credit cards. I was pulling money off my credit cards to pay my staff. I was, I had equipment lease, I had leases and facilities. I had a small business loan. I was committed. And when you start a business, one of the things you really don't think about, you think, oh, you could just file bankruptcy. Well, nobody is lending you any money as a small business. They're lending you, the person. You are the one that they're going to rely on to guarantee that loan. And so even though I had a business partner, it really didn't matter. We both were independently, we were responsible for this $500,000. And I often tell the story, if I could have sold a kidney, like if somebody would have been like, all right, I know your business is about to go under. I'll give you $10,000 for a kidney. I would have sold my kidney. I would have done whatever I could have done to just keep it going just a little further. Because really, I think you convince yourself that you're just one good opportunity or one little thing, like if you just had that one little thing go right, everything would turn around, everything would be amazing, and you would be off to the races. And thank God I didn't have anybody who needed a kidney or would pay me for one. And I look back now, and it was one of the best decisions that I've ever made in my life, which was allowing myself to let go of a dream, realizing, okay, the house is burning, stupid. There's a window. You got to jump out of that thing or else you're going down. And at that point, everything was inside, everything that I owned, and I jumped out the window without anything. And it was, metaphorically speaking, it was a rebirth, honestly. And the hardest thing for me, you had mentioned standing before the judge. Well, something else you don't really hear about when you file bankruptcy. One of the tough things is the attorney will tell you, okay, make a list. All the people that you think might actually think you owe them money, you got to list them, put them down, because we are then going to submit something to them saying, if you have a claim against this person, this is the court date, this is where it is, show up and basically dispute that your debt should be absolved or eliminated. And so for me, I had a rooms to go account that like what are the okay, so I had some investors in this business. So that was, that was tough in and of itself. By that point, I wasn't really speaking to many of them. They were mad at me. And so that was one thing. But I had a rooms to go account that I stopped paying. I bought my ex-girlfriend furniture in order just to basically move her out of my house. I'm like, okay, here's some new furniture. So here you go. And what ended up happening is she ended up calling me and was like, Aaron, what's going on? I'm getting calls about this rooms to go account and you're not paying, and then the bankruptcy. What do you want to do here? It was such an ego smash. Just admitting, hey, well, yep, that guy that you broke up with, I'm about to go file bankruptcy, and all the things that I told you I was going to accomplish and achieve, apparently I didn't. And so, it was scary thinking that you have to face people that or that you're friends with to basically.
Did you actually have? I had one company show up.
No, I had nobody show up.
Yeah.
Who was the company?
It was a credit card company. And it was probably $10,000, maybe $15,000 in debt. And I don't know if he worked for the company or if he was just somebody that bought the debt and was trying, but he's there and he's like, hey, would you like to pay something on this? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to pay. and he follows me, like, cause I think there was lunch or something, follows me out and he's like, are you sure you don't want to pay a little bit on this? Or like, we could set up payments on, like, and I know, and this is why it's important to understand what's going to happen. And that you don't know all this is going to be absolved. Like, and it was, it takes a while for it to sink in. And of course it very quickly, like, yes, you're absolved. But for the next, 7 years, you've got this black mark on your credit. So you aren't even getting any, the first credit card I got probably within a year was one of those secured. Literally, I had to have the cash in the bank at all times, and they would give me $500. Basically, it's like a debit card, except called a credit card. And it was just simply getting in the reps to show that, okay, I'm building back my credit. And step by step, now, I just checked my credit the other day. I'm well over 800. So, all right, credit's pretty good. But you realize like how important that is and why, pain is a great teacher.
One of the things that I think you make a really good point about credit, and that's something that when I was young, I didn't understand. One of the downsides I found, Antonio, was growing up in a blue collar environment or dirty blue collar. You're not surrounded by people that understand money or how to leverage it or speak the language. Money is a language that you need to learn, or else.
And you are being taught about money, by the way. Like, even if they're not talking about it, by not talking about it,
it teaches you. Exactly. And so for me, it's like money was kind of like a dirty word. I always just knew that we didn't have enough. Yep. But one of the problems is that when I went to college, first freshman year, right? They've got all these little credit card companies set up. Hey, stupid. Or they didn't say stupid, but they should have said stupid. Hey, we'll give you a credit card, $500. I'm like, $500? I'm like, that's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, sure, and a free t-shirt.
And a t-shirt. Free t-shirt. I'll take one. Yeah. Give me 2 of those. And so I had my budget in college. I had to work during the summer. And then my budget was $25 a week, $100 a month for basically the entire time I was in school, my freshman year, until I realized I needed to get a job because this was not sustainable. But yeah, so I had $500. I'm doing what every smart, intelligent 18-year-old does is buy beer, buy Taco Bell, buy my friend's pizza, go buy a pair of new shoes. Like, I ran that thing up $500. I'm like, I'm not paying that. I don't have the money to pay that. Well, that $500 ended up probably costing me, by the time it was said and done, 15 grand. But the point of this is and it also destroyed my credit because I wasn't paying. You've got to understand that your credit score is going to save you a lot of money.
I thought they wouldn't find me. I remember, yeah. You're like, okay, well, I'm moving a lot. I was in the military. I just joined the Marine Corps out of college. and I didn't even think about it. Like, I don't think I was trying to avoid it. It's just, it wasn't a priority for me. And it's like, and they eventually do track you down, like to say, hey,
they track you down
in 6 months. Yeah.
Exactly. And so you've really got to protect your credit and focus on that. Also, delayed gratification, something else that you just need to really, I think, focus on. And that is, trying to identify the difference between a want and a need. Most of the things that you think you need at the time, you probably don't. The two areas that we spend the most amount of money on is our car, what we drive, and where we live. And if you can push down the urge and drive a little bit less nice a car, maybe a little bit older, for years,
drove that. I mean, in fact, you bought other people. I remember what kind of car was that you drove just like 3 or 4 years ago?
My Infiniti G35. That was a sick ass ride when I bought it. But by the time I got it back, you couldn't drive it when it rained, or else you would get really, really wet. But you drive to this day like a 20-year-old truck.
27-year-old truck. I bought it in 1997. At the time, though, I did get, because I didn't know anything about interest rates. I got raked over the coals. I was buying it from another Marine. And yeah, of course, I got like a 20% interest rate. I then figured out, I learned about that's not a good thing. So again, paying a great teacher, I refinanced. And during my time in the Marine Corps, I just paid that thing off as soon as possible. It didn't really help that I had also picked up a motorcycle, Triumph Sprint ST, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. Basically, everything could fit in my truck. I'd put the motorcycle in the back, all my clothing, all my uniforms, everything fit around the motorcycle. I was ready to go at a moment's notice. And I would move from point to point because you're always getting stationed somewhere new. I always had a cool motorcycle that I could ride around day to day.
Chicks,
and my truck, they did. That's a whole other podcast episode. But no, seriously, it was something that to this day, I have that truck and I love it, take care of it. It also helped that whenever time I was deployed, I would just simply put it over at an uncle's place, or I don't put still got less than 200. Now it's got about 200,000 miles on it at this point.
All right.
It is getting up there. But yeah, you buy something, you take care of it. But also, how important is the vehicle to me? It's not as important as I know for a lot of guys. And this is where, you need to know what you want. What is important to you? For me, it's family. It's travel with my family. I'm married to Ukrainian. So for years, we would fly to Ukraine every other year, or Ukraine would fly to us. Since the war, half of Ukraine's been living in my house, it seems like, for the last few years. I've now got multiple households that I'm paying for, and that's where my money goes. And I have chosen that because I want to be able to have family in and around me, and for people not to have to pay anything, for people to feel relaxed. That's the type of environment. That's what I want.
That's freedom, Antonio.
That's you choose. That's freedom. You have to find it for yourself.
And that is really what the point of this podcast is to basically share stories, share insights that we've learned over our careers. I personally feel like we would never be where we are if it wasn't for the failures. And I feel like these are the things that truly build character, strength, and also allow you the knowledge and insights in order to make better decisions in the future. I've had over 22 businesses. Most of them didn't work out. A few of them have. But freedom is the thing that I think we all should strive for. It's not necessarily a dollar amount. It might be, and it really depends on you and what you are looking to do in terms of, what freedom means to you. Is it being able to not answer to anybody, to be able to go in and pee on your boss's desk and say deuces? Maybe that's what freedom means to you. Is it being able to buy, a Ferrari? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to apologize for whatever you want. It's totally cool. Your prerogative, but understand that, as Antonio said, pain is an incredible teacher, but without pain, you'll never learn. And so on that note, Antonio, any final words for this inaugural sort of test episode that we have just filmed?
I just filmed a video. As many of you guys know, I have a channel. Aaron has a channel. One of the things I love about my channel is being able to create videos that are almost more for me than they are even for my audience. It's cathartic to go through the process, to talk about it. But the video I filmed the other day is no one is coming to rescue you. And no one's coming to save you. And this is very empowering, because when you realize that, it's all about you. You have the power to transform. And it's, this is ancient wisdom. Seneca talked about this. No man is more unhappy than he who has never faced adversity, For without adversity, a man is not permitted to prove himself. And, I look at my life. I wouldn't trade it for anyone else's. I don't care. Like, yeah, because you can't we look at Elon, all that money. We look at, Jeff, we're like, all that power. We look at, maybe old Jobs, all that influence he had. We look at Zuckerberg, owning half of Hawaii, like whatever it may be. But you have to also realize you can't just trade for that part. You have to trade for the entire package. And would I want to be universally hated? Maybe like Zuckerberg thought like I'm a reptile or whatever, or just be, I don't know, whatever he is. I look at my life and what I've built, and it's that pain, it's that suffering, but it's also how it makes the triumph and the friendships so much sweeter. Because when you go through this, you look at who sticks around you. All right, those are the guys, that you want to build, that you can trust, that you want to, they've seen me through this. This is the mark of, the people I want to surround myself with. And yeah, so when you reverse it, when you look at it like, I'm thankful for that, and you are able to look at your own life and realize you wouldn't trade it for anyone else's. Yeah.
Gentlemen, if you have a question, business question, life question, down below, please feel free to ask. We're going to try to drop 1 or 2 of these every single week, and we'll see where it goes. We just thought, you know what? We'd like to talk about things that we feel are important, and nobody better to do it with than my amigo from another mother, Antonio Centeno. Have a good day, gentlemen. Thanks for
Take care,
watching.
guys.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.